he who created all things and has granted his mercy to men. Alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from Holy Gospel according to John. After the meal, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these others do?" He answered, "Yes, Lord. You know I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He replied, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." Jesus said to him, "Look after my sheep." Then he said to him a third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was upset that he asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" and said, "Lord, you know everything. You know I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. I tell you most solemnly, when you were young, you put on your own belt and walked where you liked. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands and somebody else will put a belt around you and take you where you would rather not go." In these words, he indicated the kind of death by which Peter would give glory to God. After this, he said, "Follow me." The Gospel of the Lord. Today, I would like to invite you to work a little bit on your imagination. And imagine yourself that you were instead and in the place of Peter when he was asked by Jesus, "Peter, do you love me?" Imagine that you too have been asked. Hilary, to mention myself, "Do you love me?" Jesus asked Peter 3 times. He asked him 3 times because 3 times he had betrayed him. In our case, and in my case particularly, he would have to repeat it so many more times, not just 3 times. But let's take it for the sake of it, that we are instead of Simon Peter. And Jesus asked us this question, "Do you love me?" The 3rd time or the more time, 5th time, 6th time that he asked us, we feel upset. Why is he asking me this? I go to Sunday Mass. I try to do my best. I don't harm anybody. Why is he asking me if I love him or not? It comes to our mind and we are upset. And sometimes we are upset, and we do feel upset, because we have the wrong notion of God. We still don't follow the God that Jesus himself has followed. We take for granted the presence of God in our lives, and we still believe that God, as we were taught when we were young in the olden times, that God has given us a set of rules, that we are to obey them. If we obey them, He will reward us. If we go against them, He will punish us. We'll finish in hell, and we'll be even punished here on this earth. That is the wrong notion of God. And that is not the same God that Jesus adored and Jesus spoke about when he came on this earth. Jesus spoke of a loving God, of a compassionate God, of forgiveness, of loving all the time. Jesus spoke a different God that we believe. We also believed a few years ago, when there was that epidemic of AIDS, that it was God who is punishing the world because of our sins. That's wrong. It's not true. No, God is loving all the time. He doesn't punish us like that. We, human beings, if we are wrong, if a child does not obey, yes, we punish him. No fruit, no chocolate. But God does not work like that. God is always forgiving and loving. And so we need to have the right notion of God. Who is God for? Does it mean that if I don't go to Mass on Sunday, He is going to punish me? Does it mean that the disabled people, as they used to think, or the poor people are condemned by God because they are sinners, as it used to be in the time of Jesus? That's why He spoke and He went against the Pharisees. But He told them, no, God is not like that. He gave us an example of what is God like. He went to the poor, He washed the feet of the apostles, and He was always loving and forgiving for everyone. And that's what we need to be. Jesus then, when Peter said, yes, you know that I love you, He told him, follow me and take care of my sheep. He is asking us, when we say to Jesus, yes, we love you, He tells us to follow me, and He tells us also to take care of the lambs, to take care of the sheep. What is that? Give a good example to others. Know who is your God, who is so loving to you, who is forgiving you. You have failed Him so often, and yet He loves you. He is with you, and He is always protecting you all the time. This is the idea of the God we need to believe in, not the God who is always watching behind something so that He catches us sinning and then He will punish us. No, that is an idea that we should put away and put in a new idea of God. God is all loving, all embracing, and all forgiving. And He asked us to do the same. That's what He did when He was here on earth. He gave us an example. Jesus, that's why He came to earth, to show us who is God. He is always speaking of His Father in heaven. I and my Father are the same. He is telling us, what is He doing on earth when He came? The 3 public years that He spoke about, that He lived here on earth. He was always forgiving. He was always finding the poor, the marginalized of society. Why should we be afraid if someone who is a different color sits next to us in the bus, in the public bus? Why should we be afraid of him? Or why should we avoid him because he is smelling? Jesus smelled the poor. Jesus washed the feet of the poor. And He carried the cross. If we are not ready to carry the cross, if we are not able to be respectful of others, whatever the color, whatever the state, whatever their religion, then we are not followers of Jesus. We are not followers of Jesus. We need to do exactly as He did, being respectful of others, loving to others, forgiving others, and washing the feet of others. When we start doing these things to others, then we too will be followers of Christ, will be truly living our faith, and then when we say, Jesus, you know we love you, that will be the truth, not just because we think that we are doing well. Let's do an examination of conscience, of how we're living this faith. The first question that we need to put to ourselves, do I have a good knowledge of God? And if we don't know Him enough, or we have a different idea of who God is, we need to go deeper into the life of Christ and follow Him through. Because the more we follow Christ, when we follow Christ, we are following the true God. Let's read this prayer on the screen. God of love, where compassion never fails, we bring you light the sufferings of the world, the needs of the homeless, the cries of prisoners, the pain of the sick and injured, the sorrow of the bereaved, the helplessness of the elderly and the weak, according to their needs, with your great mercy. Strengthen them and relieve them in Jesus Christ our Lord. I believe in God the Father,